Hey everyone, welcome back to Play Casket after a nice week of recovering from stupid voice-related nonsense. Yay! We can actually speak again, especially Ghost, because apparently ghosts have throats.
I'm so. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
So yeah, so we're not gonna try to cover last 2 weeks. We're just gonna keep doing what we do and just kind of highlight some of the stuff that happened this last week. Not much has happened.
Nothing really happened last week either.
Yeah, nothing really happened either. It was like Mario Day and Mario sales. Like that was like the biggest thing. That was it. Like literally, that's it. March 10th happened. People were like giggle. Mario released some kind of like final trailer for their movie. That's it. Like that. Ta-da! We just had that covered. Anyway, this week not as much either, but there's some stuff I think was really interesting that we could talk about. And one of them is Famitsu had Game of the Year awards too. So Japan also has some like weird, backpack ego nonsense validation stuff about people playing games. So couple interesting ones that came up. Go ahead and I would let you kind of go down a couple lists that you find interesting.
Game of the Year goes to Elden Ring. Yeah.
Wait, there was a game? Oh yeah, there is.
Yeah, Elden Ring wins Game of the Year for Famitsu.
The thing is, what I think is really amusing though, is the stuff that it was up against. Okay, is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So the DLC.
Yeah.
Against Pokemon Arceus and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Splatoon.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time I've seen like Nintendo take the majority of options. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Like, isn't that a little weird? Like that's something worth noting too.
Yeah.
Like, Elden Ring still won it because, to be honest, I could see the reason why Elden Ring won is because it's just on such a wider array of platforms. So a lot more people are going to try it. Period. So I can see that, right? So a lot more people are going to probably be talking about Elden Ring more than. Honestly, I do believe like Scarlet and Violet, because of the glitches, it probably would have won otherwise.
Yeah.
But other than that, like outside that, I don't think any of the other I don't think the other games in here would dominate so well and be talked about so well, except for Elden Ring. So it makes sense.
Speaking of Elden Ring, right? Most valuable creator from software. I'm not going to share about Elden Ring. I love this game so much. I'm so happy to see where like From Software has come from and where they've been.
You know what's really wild though? There's the thing is, like, I've seen a lot of videos like let's go and crack open the history of From Software, and they'll cover Kingsfield like to no end. Yeah. Right? And everybody keeps asking, like, it's the hidden gem that you never heard before. I'm like, dude, every video covers it the same way.
Yeah.
But there's games that From Software did that nobody actually does talk about. Oh yeah,
they people don't know. They've had a lot of bombs.
Like there's a lot of games out there like that's From Software.
Enchanted Arms, if anybody knows.
Oh my god. I almost forgot about that one too. Like that one's a rough one. Yeah. No,
it's you're so right. Weird.
You're right. The GameCube ones I enjoyed is Lost Kingdoms 1 and 2. Really good games. Like they're not like huge, gotta go. I honestly believe that porting those games would be very viable for this system.
Yeah.
Like I think and it doesn't even have to be like on Switch. It has to be just ported onto like maybe just the PC. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just needs to be available.
Well, doesn't Activision have it though? They're not gonna let it go.
I think Activision just kind of let the publishing rights just kind of expire.
No, okay.
It's just that From Software doesn't really do much porting. They don't really do much of that. Like honestly, I think the most porting I've seen from Software game was Dark Souls. Really, once they did the remastered version onto the Switch and stuff, like that's the most I've seen them do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like they don't really do them much, which sucks because I think there's some games out there that I think people would really appreciate to this day, with maybe some minor quality of life improvements, like getting rid of that weird game breaking bug and whatever and stuff like that, or like sinking into your ground in Armored Core 2. That's weird. Stuff like that, like
poison,
quicksand. But what I think is again, the rest of the list that From Software was competing against, not exactly the highest array. We have Game Freak because apparently that's valuable.
Who are they?
Yeah, Naoki Yoshida, which I think Yoshida makes stuff for Sega, correct?
Yeah.
So and then the Splatoon 3 development team. So I gotta back up a little bit. I've noticed Splatoon 3 became the Japan's fastest selling video game ever. Only for a few months, and then Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out and did that same thing and then stomped on it. And I'm noticing that those two things come up constantly, like those two teams or those two games come up constantly in these lists, and I feel like that's the reason why. So when you're like, wow, why is Splatoon 3 in there all the time? It's not all that good, or try to poo-poo on like Pokemon, there's a reason for it, Like the next one is like best scenario. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet wins that one, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was mentioned, right? So stuff like that goes on. So the other one, best graphics, I think is really hilarious. Elden Ring. There's only two other games that was competing against it, which is God of War, Keck, and Horizon Forbidden West, because Snack McGee as the leading character now is so good looking. Apparently, no, I can see where Elden Ring would win that one. So there's a couple other odd ones. Best music is actually from a mobile game. Ew.
Heaven Burns Red.
So it looks like a post-apocalyptic anime as fuck mobile RPG visual novel, at least from what we're understanding.
They're in high school.
They're all in high school, but they all have like superpowers, post-apocalyptic, and stupid stuff. Like it is the most anime story.
Hey, you can't mess up pizza. Don't try to change pizza.
I will change pizza. I'll change pizza that will revolutionize it.
If you put pineapple on this, I will kill you. Right?
No, I'm putting mango. That's a goblin delicacy right there. No, you know what? No, I'm flipping it on its ear. I'm putting pizza on pineapple instead. But no, so best music, Heaven Burns Red, and I think reason for that is I think they licensed a couple of musicians out. From what I see that, so I feel like that's like a cop out.
Yeah,
like that, because when we looked at it, I'm like, man, that sounds like a lot of professional albums, And then Scarlet and Violet was one of the runners up, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles actually had some really good music. I
haven't touched 3 yet. So
I'm not fully signed up on 3 yet.
Okay.
But there's some interesting stuff that kind of tells me that there's gonna be a 4, and 4 is gonna be wild.
Yeah.
So that's how far I'm in.
Give me X.
No. Best actor, Aqua Minato from Aquarium.
Huh?
What? So I don't know any of these characters for actors. So.
Me neither.
Next one. Voice actor, Tamori Kusunoki, which is Ryuki Kayamori from Heaven Burns Red
again. Huh?
But there's the person who played Mio, the Japanese voice for Mio of Xenoblade 3, and Zack for Crisis Core, which is weird. Isn't that the same voice that they had in the original release, or did they have to revoice everything? Did they revoice everything in the Crisis Core game, in the remake?
That I have no idea, actually.
I don't know. The world will remain a mystery because we're not looking that up. Continue. Best character, Arvin from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I will agree, only because the other two is Kirby, which makes sense, but Kirby's a legend. I don't know how that one's a New Year one. That's ridiculous,
I don't even know how how did this category even come up?
I know, best character. Well, the thing is, like, the best character, you would think, okay, so when somebody says the best character of 2022 or 2023 or whatever, you would think a character that's kind of like introduced then, you know?
Yeah.
Not a character that's been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just doesn't make sense. Arvin, though, I will agree. Arvin was probably the only story that kind of gave me a satisfaction at the end of his arc.
No, okay.
So I like that bit, but outside that, meh. Then there's Ruka Kayamori from Heaven Burns Bread. What? Best online game.
Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy.
Always.
That's all. Yeah, the realm. It's Japanese. It's Japanese WoW.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
What about Monster Hunter? No.
It's Japanese WoW. Well, Monster Hunter World kind of collapsed after like the.
All the newbies got burnt out. Yeah.
Yeah. Once everybody got like, the thing is like it is really just Monster Hunter in general is such a barrier of entry. You know, like even with the newbies come in and they get like carried and stuff. If they don't fully understand stuff, they will just burn out and not play.
Yeah.
And like all of these people are like, oh, it's gonna be so much better. Like if there was a World 2, I can't even guarantee World 2 will sell more than one.
Well, one thing I noticed too is that the formula does work. Most newbies, when they see it, they're like, wait, this isn't like so-and-so game. Like, no, there's a reason why it's extremely rigid, that you need to pick up a quest and activate it, then go to the spot to activate the quest, and then it starts. You're in the map, and you just kind of like loop the gameplay, because most veterans like really understand that that's just like the gameplay loop. While most of the newbies are like, wait, we don't go out and keep adventuring until we come across something. Like,
yeah. Well, because they see the stuff like that, and they see this connection. Like, well, it's Monster Hunter World. Shouldn't we be going around the world?
Yeah.
You know. So I can see where a lot of people, these newbies, are not familiar with it, and then when they see it's a gameplay loop, they're like, oh, it's repetitive, whatever, blah 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 blah, making excuses, because a lot of people want all this type of mechanics in one game at one point in time, but that soils all the game experience. You know, there's a difference when you have a couple mini games like kind of mushed to the side, so you can play those while you're like waiting for your friend or whatever. Like, I can see stuff like that, but for the most part, your gameplay loop is grinding out parts, get better gear to grind out more parts.
Yeah.
No,
and when you're fighting, while you're fighting too, you're also learning how to fight again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like some people find some really crazy ways to like two-shot something. Like Dauntless is kind of crazy with that too, and Dauntless doesn't even have that much of a community.
Yeah.
But I still see like random videos sometimes. I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of crazy. And honestly, I think people should give Dauntless a better try. Like, I really do. Dauntless kind of takes away a couple of the riffraff of Monster Hunter, and just like make it more distilled in a way. It's just that they don't have the same variety as Monster Hunter does.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because Monster Hunter has had a legacy for even long before the studio, Phoenix Labs, was even considered to be conceived. You know? It's like, they're what, PS2 games? Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like 2017 is when Dauntless came out.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So they're competing against something that's been well versed, you know. So I could see why people won't try Dauntless, but I do think a lot of people who have liked Monster Hunter should try Dauntless.
Yeah.
Period. Like, it's on every system anyway. Anyway, back to it. Follow-ups.
Best action game.
The following of best online games was Genshin Impact and Splatoon 3. Meh. Best action game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. How was that action? Like, I don't think there was very much intense action in that game. Like, I don't know. Like, it is a 3D platformer, but it has like a 3D platformer very similar to how Crash Bandicoot was.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's all course based.
It's Famitsu. Nothing really makes sense on this thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But the winner is Splatoon 3, which makes sense as an action game that is considered kind of like an action game. I heard Sunbreak was kind of like a wish-wash. Like, it was just more of the same. Like, there wasn't anything really exciting, so I could see where, like, it wasn't really mentioned. Best action adventure game, Sonic Frontiers.
I'm
What?
surprised Elden Ring's not on there.
Right? Like action. Okay, so maybe the adventure game is the best adventure game should be something like that, or like maybe an RPG or something. But best action adventure game is Sonic Frontiers. It's weird. Sonic actually getting a reward?
What's Sonic?
What? That's crazy. And it won against God of War and Horizon Cupcake West. Whatever. You know, like just what? Whoa. Anyway, best adventure game. AI Somnium Files of Nirvana Initiative and Desynchrono were follow-ups to The Centennial Case, a Shijima story. I have no idea. So I think these are all like, since I played AI, I think they're all like kind of visual novel detective type games.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
AI is actually, if you're actually into visual novel-esque type gameplay, like not nothing that's like straightforward, pure JPEGs talking to each other type thing. Like there's more control, there's more like character design, there's more puzzles and stuff like that. AI is actually pretty good.
I'm surprised Heaven Burns Red wasn't on there.
I know, really? Let's go down a bit more. Best RPG, Elden Ring didn't win. Did not win.
I leave.
Elden I leave this world again.
Even deader now.
I am even deader now. No, not even Pokemon Scarlet won.
Best RPG?
Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, I'll give it to them.
Like, I'll allow that.
I'm very biased, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure we have a community of huge JRPG fans that just think that's the premium of everything. Ain't that right? He's probably like ad-libbing a bunch of the conversation now. But anyway, best app. Goddess of Victory, Nikke, which is that weird booty shooter game that we see here. Then Uma Musume Pretty Derby, which is kind of like just a horse racing game. I've seen it a couple times, like just people mention it and stuff.
It's kind of silly. I like it.
It's weird. And then Heaven Birds Red. Again.
Wins again.
Best indie game. Needy Streamer Overload and Vampire Survivors, which sound really vague.
I don't know what that is. I only know what Stray is.
Stray was the one that won, you know. Best rookie game. Best rookie game. Heaven Burns Red wins, but Stray and Elden Ring were the only ones that competed against. I feel like this crap's bought.
Well, Elden Ring
if
is
this was in Europe, I'm pretty sure Raid Shadow Legends would have won all of this crap. This like that's where I feel like that's going on. Best esports game is Valorant, followed by Street Fighter V and Apex Legends. This is the only place I've ever seen Street Fighter V in, to be perfectly honest. Like, everywhere else has Fortnite. You know what I mean? Like, that's weird. Best VTuber, don't care, we're skipping it. Best streamer, don't care, we're skipping it. Best horror game, Yomawari Lost in the Dark. So, I played the original, like, 2, I think. It's an atmospheric horror, so it's not one of those like jump scares like, oh shit, you know. It's actually kind of crazy. It's a top down kind of like a Diablo-esque. I think that was pretty cool. If anybody's into like those atmospheric type of stories and like kind of give you the unsettling feeling and stuff, they're pretty good. Recommend it. Go ahead and go. I think the last few right there, if you want to go ahead and read those.
2023 most anticipated goes to Tears of the Kingdom, and then followed by Armored Core and Final Fantasy 16. But it's like, okay, these are coming out anyways. Why we promote 2023 advertisements?
That's basically what it is.
Famitsu and Dengeki Special Award, 7 Days to End with You. What is that?
I don't know. Maybe a whole week's worth of World Ends with You.
And Magical Lovely Award goes to Persona 5 Royale, which is, I don't know what that is, because it's the only one there.
Yeah, it's the only one there. So I'm thinking the Magical Lovely Award is just the consumer base, the community.
No, everybody voted for?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Damn.
So I think that's it. What do you think about that? Oh,
Pretty
there's 21 here. Let's take a look at that. 2021's winners. I'm just gonna skim through this real quick while we're talking about that. Monster Hunter Rise was the game of the year then.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right?
I got good taste. Yeah.
Best graphics was Tales of Arise. How that thing looked like every other anime game that got released then.
Oh, I know.
Like even the fashion designer. There was a fashion designer game that released then that like looked like a Tales of Arise game.
No,
like,
what is it? It's what was that one vampire Soulsborne game? It's basically what it is.
Scarlet Nexus or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, that was another one that was just like it was just so traditionally like anime. Like there's nothing really wrong with it, but it doesn't stand out then. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I feel
if you line up all the characters like right next to each other, like if you get all the 3D models and like you mix them up and just line them up all next to each other, you'd be like you couldn't tell if it was Tales of Arise or Scarlet Nexus. That's kind of the issue.
yeah, like honestly, like I did see a bunch of stuff and like what was it like? There's one kind of angsty swordman in Tales of Arise. I swore I thought I saw in Scarlet Nexus, and it didn't. No.
Yeah.
No. Like, well, Scarlet Nexus has guns. I'm like, that's the defining factor between these two characters. Like, really, right now, like it's ridiculous. And I think that's going to be problematic as time goes on for Tales as a franchise in general. Is if it keeps this like very traditional, bland anime like safe design, it's gonna just blend in with everything else, you know. So
well, they'll change artists. We'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
Hopefully, I hope so. Because I think Tales had a lot of potential of becoming really really big, and I don't know what happened during the Wii era, but they just kind of like fell off the map.
Yeah,
they're like no, and then just stopped making the shit. But I really hope they do, you know, kind of get into some of like their more classical roots of Tales games again, and those like weird. I wouldn't say minimalistic anime designs, but like they looked 90s.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If it makes sense, it looks like late 90s anime.
Yeah,
I feel like that was kind of more of like an identity to them, because the way I think of Tales right now, just thinking of characters, it's like if I'm trying to design a character in my head, I design it somebody that looks like Colette or looks like what's his name, Lloyd. For some reason I was like just thinking of his last name, but Lloyd Irving. You know, I see a character like that, designed like that. So, but yeah, there's all that, but obviously they're just as paid for as ours. So let's move on to our next thing, which is what was the next thing?
Switch 2 rumors.
Oh yes.
They will always be there.
Okay, so yeah.
No. Listen, I got the leaks, and it's gonna happen now.
It's gonna happen now.
It's gonna be stronger. It's gonna be backwards compatible. It's gonna have Wi-Fi. It's gonna be battery operated.
Okay, so to preface this, the only reason why we're mentioning rumors is because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't about the actual rumors themselves. It's just the fact that rumors, they've been happening for the last 2-3 years, and they keep getting debunked, and people are like, no, it's happening a lot more now. Well, yeah, as time progresses, more and more people want that to happen because they want the new system, because it happens to have that certain cycle that they want to continue.
Yeah.
You know, when some of these people, like, there's people out there that will play like in the second year of a console and be like, I'll wait for the PS6. You know, there's people already talking about the PS6 to be released. I'm like, dude, the last 3 years of the PlayStation 5 have basically not even existed when you think about it. You know what I mean? Like, it was hard to get a hold of it. There's next to no real games on any of them. And this goes with the Xbox Series X too. Like, there was no real purpose to have those consoles, you know? On top of having to spend $10 more per new game, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, it's just useless. Now they're starting to finally gain a momentum, right? And like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they're gonna crush it. They outsold Switch this last month. Yeah, but Do you not know how much they sold over the Switch?
The lifetime sales are still like killing it. Like,
Well, no. Think about it. The having to outsell the Switch the number that it did. There was not a number that low that the Switch outsold the other two. Like it was always almost double the amount. Just the gap was almost double. I'm like, so in order to catch up and really crush the Switch now, dude, do you not understand that most people have a Switch now? You know, and like, well, they're releasing more games than the Switch is. I'm like, because the Switch has 4 or 5 years of a backlog of all the games that you're getting now. The Switch already had. You know, like they're just porting a bunch of their indie games and their short games and they're all weird games.
Well, the nice thing
and all that,
it incentivizes you to go and get it too, because even if like you get a headset, like what is it? Like the reason with 3D with VR headsets is that it's only one set of software. So like if I could get a VR headset that allows me to use all my programs as soon as I buy it, that's like one huge major reason for me to get it. But if it's just like, oh yeah, there's only one game, you're going to be waiting 2-3 years for the next software to come out. Yeah. So it's like, well, why do I bother getting it when I have to wait 3 or 4 years to even use this stupid thing?
Yeah.
So
even on top of that, like all the games that are getting released, and I'm not talking about the AAA ones. Like obviously, there's going to be AAA ones that the Switch doesn't even run because the gap of power is not going to be there, right? That's literally the only difference between the two releases. But if you look, there's going to be a lot of like, you're going to see Rhyme being ported. You're going to see like a lot of these old indie games being ported. You're going to see like you're going to see Shantae ported over to the PS5 here soon. They already announced that they're going to, and people are like ecstatic about it. I'm like, yeah. But it's already on the Switch. You can't be like, oh, looks like the Switch didn't get it this week when we did. Well, yeah, it's been around for almost 4 years now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, all these games and stuff are just finally, it's the PS5 catching up. Not surpassing, not winning. It's finally gaining enough momentum to actually catch up to something.
Gotcha.
I think they'll finally actually be able to turn a profit off the system, but I feel like it's so far behind. Both the Xbox and stuff is so far behind, and it's not even like, oh, they suck. It's just they're expensive, they're hard to find, their tech's hard to find, which makes it even harder to find.
Yeah.
Most people apparently have other weird issues that don't make them really want to play some of the games. We already hear a bunch of stuff that you have to put your PS5 sideways. Like there's so many things that like, and then the hype. Then now that the like 3 years in, the hype is nowhere near as big.
Yeah.
Like people keep saying, no, it's big. No, it's not. Because I barely hear anyone talk about those systems like ever. I'll see somebody randomly buy a system, but I don't see people rushing in every morning to find anything. Like I never see stuff like that anymore. You know, I saw it for the first maybe year and a half, maybe 2 years. It was consistent. You know, everybody's got it. But now, like, everybody's like, dude, I can't even try that.
Well,
like,
even then, people only wanted it so they could scalp the stupid thing.
Yeah, I think that's like the same with cards. Like now that cards are not being resold and stuff like that because it's so easy to get a hold of cards. There's not as many people demanding them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you know, like just looking at that, why would the Switch try to push for that tech and compete to try to get that tech and make it harder for everyone to get any new system out? You know?
Okay.
Like, they're obviously going to have similar chips. They're obviously going to have similar tech. They're always going to have, you know, for Nintendo, like, the Switch 2 is inevitable in a couple years. Being announced in general, right? But why do that right now? Even in year 7 of the Switch, right? We are in year 7. Year 6, the momentum for the system is so steady that it's still breaking milestones. We just mentioned it like down this list just earlier today. Splatoon became the fastest selling game in Japan. Splatoon 3. That was last year. 2 months later, Pokemon did that and beat Splatoon 3. That was also last year. And then they became the biggest selling game in Japan in history. That was also last year. Why would Nintendo look at that and go, man, I really need to get a new console out now? The momentum's
okay.
so much there.
Yeah.
And the fact that the technology is going to be so hard to find, Nintendo's sitting in a pretty good position. And then that's not even factoring in that our economies worldwide are like eating itself. Like right now, if the Switch were to make a Switch 2, good luck trying to sell that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody's going to be able to afford it, even if it was like $400.
And you can't find the materials for it too. So.
Yeah. And you can't find people to get the materials. You can't find and everybody's kind of like on edge on one another in the world scope of politics. You know, like it's easier just to have the Switch during this entire time.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, because when the pressure's on and people are like, man, I really need a new console. It's either a $500 system that would go up in price eventually because of inflation, or a $300 system.
Yeah.
And you could have that $200 extra to buy games.
Yeah.
You know, like it's similar to how the recession was for the Wii. The Wii dominated. In fact, the Wii probably kept the gaming industry alive during the time of the recession because
everybody was getting really burnt out on games too.
Yeah, everyone was getting burnt out on that back then too. Like, it wasn't until the Wii just came up and then like, wow, this is great. This is all exciting and stuff. And then once everybody started getting back into vitalized games, like, I kind of want to see what the other two are. And then they just transitioned over to the other two.
Yeah.
But the Wii kept it up. Whether you hated the Wii or not, the Wii kept that, kept that whole industry up. You know? Because we're a country of fads. You know? But now, gaming's so ingrained in our system, I don't think the Switch is saving an industry. I just think the Switch is saving Nintendo in this concept.
Yeah.
You know, because fundamentally, trying to find newer tech to build a newer system at the time that we are looking down the barrels of a worldwide recession, that'd be stupid. You know, it's going to be easier for them to just ride out another 2 years of the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't hate that because it's a good way to always pad out my library. So,
dude, I like that in general. I wish another system would stay around for this long.
PS3,
the PS3 struggled.
Yeah,
PS3 because it's so hard to develop for.
Mm-hmm.
PS3 killed developers. They're the ones that killed the original THQ.
Oh, okay.
They're the ones that killed Midway. They were the system that destroyed third-party developers.
Okay.
It was the widower. Let's be real here.
True.
You know? And people are like, no, well, the PS3 really did because it was really hard to kind of develop for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Bayonetta for the PS3 had the most bugs in it, and it almost killed Bayonetta as a franchise because even Sega didn't want to touch it after that. It was just bad. So, that being said, expect rumors because people are looking at the routine and the patterns and saying now's the time.
Well, I mean,
so
it's also
you're gonna see it.
Trying to be the first guy to call it too. It's
they want to.
The sun's gonna rise. The sun's gonna rise. Watch. Oh, see, the sun just rose. I called it.
Yeah, exactly. And that is exactly. He's like, I told you guys the sun was gonna rise. That is exactly. That is an on-point metaphor. Not gonna lie. So, but yeah, that's expected. It's gonna get worse. In fact, I'm almost willing to bet we're gonna see PS6 rumors here by the end of the year.
Well, they're already talking about a Pro, so yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I could see a PS5 Pro in 2 years.
Okay.
Realistically, namely because they're trying to still get the PS5 in houses to begin with. Why would they want to blow more money trying to find pro tech next?
Yeah.
That is just dumb. The focus is get the PS5s out.
Give me a slimline, iron out the kinks, give me more exclusives. Mm-hmm. That's all I ask.
Mm-hmm. Just give some good $80 games.
Give me anime games. Oh wait, never mind. You killed all your studios.
Yeah, basically. And then all your niche games are like going to fucking Switch. That's just hilarious. Anyway, stop ranting because we like to talk too much. But I would like to thank you all for listening in. And as always, thank you guys for coming back and listening to us after skipping a week. We're back to our normal, scheduled routine.
I think.
Yeah. And if you like our content, always feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, we will see you on the other side. Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.